Hello, I think this is update 6, I'm not sure, I lost count myself. Right, okay, now as you know, I've got a whole bunch of batteries. There's about 15 packs now. I've been testing them all. This is the worst pack of the lot. Now I've got my meter set so you can see the voltage there, and I've also stuck a battery on the back because the battery kept running flat. Right, I'm a bit off camera here, so let me just move it a bit. Right. Now I've had this battery on charge for quite. Oh, you can't see the meter now. Oh, hang on. Let's see. I have to adjust it a bit so you can. All right, here we go. That's better. Right. Okay. Right. The battery cells that I've had on test. This, as I said, this is the worst pack of all of them. Now, the first two cells are actually. This is how they're set up in the computer laptop battery pack. They're actually stuck together with the bridged at the back. Now this is important what I'm showing you actually at the moment. This is why I decided to do a separate video just for this. They're actually bridged, so these pair have always been bridged together. Now when we check the voltage, this is the neutral side. When we put the probe on the neutral side and we measure the positive end, the voltage is 3.71. That is good. Now these battery cells should read 3.71, and I've actually had these cells on charge for quite a long time. Now these first two cells are actually in good condition. Now go to the second batch of battery cells at the back, the middle ones. These are the center ones. And I measure the voltage again on these, and that's 3.71. That's also very good. Right, now let's go to the next cells at the back, and these are 3.71 as well. So I haven't picked the worst pack actually. I've got a good pack here. Okay, amend my little error. This is a good pack. There's nothing wrong with them. Now let me just go and get a real genuine bad pack, and I'll show you how you can sort of get more out of them. I'm going to put these in here. Now if you look, these are, I've marked these as 4.4 amp hours or 4,400 milliamp hours. It's either way. 4.4 amp hours is another way of saying 4,400 milliamp hours. Right, okay, that pack is a good pack. Now I've got another pack over here. Now these are bad. Oops, not the camera. These are bad, definitely bad. Right, now I'll show you what you do with these. I'll take these out of here. I rested them in the container for now. What you ideally need, now there's only actually 4 of these. Now I'll put it like that. Now they've got sticky tape at the front to insulate, to prevent accidents. Now that's the negative end, because the positive end, now this is important, the positive end has got a special notch, a groove that goes around the cell. Now I'll bring that closer so you can see. There's actually a little groove that runs along the battery. These are wired in series. That means that the battery at the end is wired positive to negative. Now the reason that is the other end's open. The reason that is when you wire something in series, it's the same as when you put your batteries in your calculator or in your radio or whatever. You wire them in series in order to actually double the voltage. So if this battery cell here is 3.7 and you wire two 3.7s together, I forgot what it is now, but you get 7.6, I believe. Let me just double check, because I'm really bad at maths. I'm really bad at maths, but I tell you what, it's better that we do it properly so that we can see. Right, here's my calculator. Now 3.7 times 2 is 7.4. Yeah, right. Okay, 7.4 volts. So when you put them in series, you get 7.4 volts. When you wire them in parallel, the voltage does not change. So if you put two 3.7 volt batteries in parallel, you're actually, what you do there, it's hard to show you on here, but what you actually do on there, as I say, this is positive to negative. What you actually do is you wire positive to positive, and on the other end you actually wire negative to negative. That's when they're in parallel. So what you're doing by wiring them in parallel is getting twice the current. So say this battery here says 2,200 milliamps, or 2K2 is another way of saying it. 2,200 milliamps. Now, because there's two of these, and if we wired them in parallel, we would have 4,400 milliamps. So you're actually doubling the current, but you're actually only getting the same voltage. So normally you would actually put them in series to get the voltage you require, such as 11.1 volts. But once you've got the 11.1 volts, you can actually parallel other batteries up to existing cells. But it's important that you match them, and you don't put any weak ones in the bank of cells, otherwise you're going to have problems. Now I'm actually going to separate these. I want to show you this is quite important. I'm going to take this tape off so that we can see the electrodes properly. I'm going to leave part of it on. Right. Now this is where it's a bit tricky. I'll get this apart. Just pull them apart. Sorry, it was off camera. Now normally what you need to do when you're separating cells on these laptop batteries, say you want to split them, say you want to take a bad one out of the chain. Now I'm just going to measure these. Now negatives at this end, this one, positive at this end. Now let's measure the voltage. Ooh, I'm blocking it. 4.27. That's actually quite high. So that cell is possibly taking all the current, because the other cells, the resistance of the other cells must be quite low, or they must be faulty. Now let's check the other cell. I'll turn it around. This is negative, this is positive. Right, 4.27. That's quite good as well. It's actually a bit high. And that's most likely because, let's get the other cells. I'll move these out of the way a minute. Now these are the other cells from the same pack, and I'm gonna, that's negative end. I'll turn it around. Negative, positive. Right, 3.96. Okay, that voltage is actually lower, but it should be around 3.7. So it's obviously been taking quite a lot of voltage, and its resistance seems to be quite high. Right, now let's check the other cell. This is the negative side and this is a positive. Ooh, oh, here we go. 3.93. Right, so 3.93, 3.96, and the other batteries again. 4.27. 4.27. So these two are actually pretty equal. Now I'll show you, this is the trick. Now if you get some cells that are stronger and some cells that appear weaker, what you can do is you have to make sure that the electrode there is nice and clear of the, and then you can cut it in the center with a pair of scissors or something. Right, and now what we do is I'm just going to go in the middle and cut it. Right, that's cut now. It's two separate batteries now, and I've got some tabs to solder onto. now I'm going to put these carefully down. If you look, I've put the positive notches are both together, so I'm going to put these on the table so they're that way around, because if I put them that way around and the wire's short, we could start a fire. So I'm going to put them down like that over here somewhere for safety. And these other cells are also odd. They're not giving equal voltages, which indicates that the cells are actually not very good. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to find some other cells that are also faulty like this. Now this is where you can actually make the most of your power. Right, I'm going to cut these, separate these as well. Make sure your scissors are well clear of any other electrodes. Right, okay, I've got that separate now. So I've got some more batteries, separate batteries. But bear in mind that these voltages are all a bit odd. Now what we can do, I'm just going to demonstrate here on this paper. I actually put some tapes on here to elevate the batteries. What you can actually do is to take one of the other cells. Now remember, the voltages are actually quite a bit different. You can rematch them. Could take one of the other cells and repair them up, but might be a good idea to pair them up using a resistor. Actually connect the neutral ends. You can resolder the neutral ends with the tabs that are left visible there. I can resolder the neutral ends back together so that these are paralleled. So that's the negative end. Resolder them and repack them and put some tape around the batteries to hold them together. Right. And because these are odd cells giving different voltages, they should help to equalize the power. So we can actually build a new pack where is the weak cell. There's a weak cell in this end, and when you put the next battery on the end in series, you're going to be staggering them so that the weak cell and the strong cell are actually helping each other. So the strong cell helps the weak cell, and then you put another one at the top where there's a strong cell and a weak cell. That way you're going to equalize your pack so that when you're charging 6 batteries, you're actually because of the strong cells being spread out more, you're actually evening out the charging current and also the current you're using from the battery. Because normally what happens is you have one weak cell and it causes the power to go into that one, and when you're actually taking power out, the weak cell gives away too easy. It's a bit like having a little man at the other end of a rope in a tug of war, and you have all your strong men all at the other end. You really want to spread your strong men and your weak men out, so you've got strong men at one end and strong and weak men at both ends, so that you actually have a pack that's usable rather than having a weak cell that's going to pull the rest of them all down. I think you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, so anyway, I'm going to sort those out later, but I wanted to make that quite clear. Now there's another thing I need to explain. When you're actually taking batteries, when you're actually splitting batteries, now let me just get these again. Normally what you find is that in a battery pack you have 6 batteries, and you'll have 2 in parallel like that, and the top 2 will be stuck together with one of these bridges. You'll have a bridge connected. Now whatever you do, do not get your scissors and stick it between the connector and the electrode when they're stuck together really tight, and cut the positive first. Don't do that, because remember that you could scrape through this insulation here and you could short the positive to the case of the battery, which is actually negative. So what you should always do is cut the negative end first. So if you have, if the battery pack at the negative end is bridged across, remember the negative end is the same as the case. So if you want to split this pack, you cut the negative end first. That way, if you do cut through the blue plastic or red plastic, whichever colour it is, because they're all different, so if you accidentally cut through the insulation while you're cutting this, you're not going to start a fire. Okay, because once you cut that end, you'll be able to peel them apart, and you'll find that the positive electrodes come apart, and you can easily cut that end afterwards. Right, that's very important. I wanted to make sure I did this because I thought, well, there's some people out there probably going to try taking these battery packs apart, and they might make that mistake of cutting the positive end first. Now if you do that and it's together, you could short it out and have a bit of a fire. Okay, well that's just the update 6. I just wanted to do that just so that people would see how how to watch out for that kind of accident they might have. Okay, well I just thought I'd do a little bit more. Right, this is the second one. As I said, I already built one battery. Well, I'm making a new one. This is another tin, just an update. I haven't painted it yet because I'm probably making a mess. Right, I don't want to mess up the paint, you see. I thought I'll do it last. Right, here's dummy batteries. These are some dummy batteries. Right, the reason I did that was because I don't want to be messing around with live batteries while I'm planning my petitioning. Oops, these are my petitions. I've put them in now. I've used fiberglass resin down the sides. Let's see, it's a bit of a mess actually. When I run it in, it was running around, so I had to mix it with some isopon bumper repair, which is basically plasticky. And anyway, but you won't see them anyway once the batteries are in. And it's really strong now. Look, hang on, solid. And I've put holes in here. These are in case I want to fit any diodes and use these plates as heat sinks. And also these plates can help to dissipate any heat from the batteries, because obviously the batteries are going to be quite condensed in here. Because now the reason I made the dummy batteries, as I say, is so I don't short anything out. I'm using dummy batteries. I took out the power packs. I'm using these. I assembled them into a cluster of 8, which is probably the maximum, which I'll probably be using. But I'm actually going to be working them in about 11.1 volt things. I'm not with it tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, 5 in each partition. Right. Okay. Right. I've got that figured out. So we can have 5 in each partition. So that's about. There's another partition at the back. This is the other one. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can get 10 of these in here, right? So get 10 of these in these 2 middle partitions. I'm reserving the end spaces for the meters or any extra batteries that I have left over. But I'm just going to concentrate on the middle partitions for now, because I have got 15 packs, and some of these batteries which I've been testing, I've no doubt that some of them will be a bit dull. Now let me just move my light, move the camera, the microphone. Right, those are all the batteries. Ooh, I'll pull the wire out again. I'm always doing this. There we go. Right, as you can see, all the batteries are on that table over there. Can't see properly now because my wire's a bit short again. But there's 15 packs of batteries. Well, there's 13 packs of batteries on there, and there's 2 more I haven't opened yet. I've got 2 more here. Let's see. There's 2 more packs of batteries here which I haven't split these yet, because these are good. I've tested them on the outside and the voltages are good, so I thought we'll hang on to them for now, because I'm going to work through the other lot first and see what's good and what isn't but good, because I don't think I'm going to get them all in here. I probably will, but I'm just going to keep those 2 sealed in plastic simply for safety reasons. I don't want to be having lots of spare batteries kicking about But anyway, that's roughly what I am at the moment. So this camera's a bit silly. You don't know what this camera looks like. I mean, it's a CCTV camera. It's not even a webcam, so it's really ugly. Hang on, let me show you it in the mirror if I can. Oh damn it! I can't. Hang on a minute. I found my little mirror. You see, this camera is really stupid. I actually made it to go inside my pipe, you see, when I was doing it. So it's got this weird skeletal thing around it. Now, this is going to make you laugh. It's got this weird skeletal thing around it. Now you can see why I get confused with it. I'm pointing the camera in the mirror. It's got this, can't really turn it without you losing it. Can't show the other side. Like a skeletal thing, because I designed it to fit inside my ventilation pipe. So the camera was sitting right in the middle of the pipe. That's the reason why it's got the rings around the camera. So it would sit inside the pipe for the air intake for the computer, which I was doing before. And that's why it keeps falling over, because it's on these crocodile clips. Oops, see, it's gone again. See, see what I mean? As I say, I haven't made any holes in this box yet, but I am actually going to get a dual voltage and amp meter, and I'm going to stick it on the end here. Oh, I've got some glue on there. I'll get it off later. I'm going to be cutting another hole in the end there to put the volt and amp meter, and probably put some more switches and power sockets. I've got tons of electrical stuff kicking about from years ago when I was doing electronics all the time, but I just can't be bothered these days, so I'm just using up some bits I already had. Right, okay, I'll stop there. Okay, I just thought I'd show you something else. Well, I changed my mind about the battery configuration because, well, to be honest with you, I realised that I'm wiring these up in 11.1 volt configurations. Now here's a battery pack I've already put together. I'll put this stuff over the top off one of the back ends just to be on the safe side. Now this is an actual battery pack I put together. Now I'm just going to show you this. I wired it so that positive at one end, negative at the other end, and I've capped off that because that is another positive, this end, and I wired it with there's a wire that goes down here from the positive to the other side, and it goes to the negative. So that cell is wired in series with that cell, so that it comes out positive there, and then this cell here is wired and bridged across at the other end, negative to positive, so that this negative end is in series with this cell here, and this cell here is in series with that cell there. Right, and I've configured them in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cells in each bank. So that's actually quite a lot of amps, and in a bank of 4 parallel cells, right? So all those cells are in parallel, all those cells are in parallel, all those cells are in parallel. You can look at the back and see that. I've actually got some tape on there just for, but they're actually soldered together. So I've soldered them there. So I've added an extra cell on because originally these packs were wired for 14.8 volts, and I don't want that. I want to set these up at 11.1, so I've paralleled a cell to each one of these banks. So I've taken a whole row of cells, split them, and tagged them on to parallel them up with the other cells. Now this pack is fully charged, and it fits nicely in my partition. So with these, I've actually got some dummies at this end still. With these, I'll move the camera a bit if I can, it falls over as you know. With these I can get 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I can get 3 of these in here, and then I've got a bit of a space, so I've got the dummies at the end there, and these dummies, obviously I'll take them out later, and in the, so that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and I should be able to get actually 4 in there if I work it out. Let's see, it's a bit awkward to do this. Measure them, 1, 2, 3. Actually I can't get 4 in, so what's probably going to happen is I'm going to have a bank of 6 cells at this end. So let's see, we take those 2 out, so I'm going to end up with actually they've got to be wired in 11.2 volts, so I'm going to take these 2 dummies out as well. So I'm going to end up with a little gap, so one bank of cells are going to be grouped in 2s, so it's going to be those 2 in parallel, those 2 in parallel, those 2 in parallel. So I'm actually going to end up with a little gap, but that's no worries, because it'd be nice because I can put a socket in there or something, you know, where I have these little spaces, or I can have something else in there. But I'm just showing you where I am at the moment. I decided to bank them up in groups of 12s so that I get actually match the good cells in parallel, and then each bank of cells, as I call it, will go through a diode or resistor to pre-equalize the charging and everything, because these are well matched. These are actually from the same pack, and I couldn't find a weak bunch because they were all very good actually in this pack. These packs that I've got at the moment are a lot better than they usually are. And I found my solder tags, and I thought, oh, I found these, I forgot I had them. Found them in the bottom of our toolbox. These are solder tags. What you do is you you basically have a, like, you know, like my screw hole here, you can actually screw them on, and but it would make the plate live. And so, for example, if I decided this plate was going to be neutral, I could bolt that tag on. It's hard to see it really with my fingers, it's so clumsy. Now I've put my screwdriver there to hold it. I could bolt it on, say, and have an earth point, or one of the plates could be a positive. Anyway, those are my solder tags anyway. I've had them a long time. I had them. I actually had to clean them because they were a bit gritty. They've been in the bottom of my toolbox. So, oh, and I found a little bit of circuit board the other day. I thought, oh yeah, I had that. And it's fiberglass. Yeah, you can tell because it's got the little fiber tracks coming on the back and that. So that's a piece of fiberglass circuit board. Got blobs of solder in it. I think I used to use it as a shield. So I'm going to take all that solder off and probably recycle that. Use it for something later. Not much else to show you at the moment, except that my petitions are in there, and it's coming along slowly. I've got some more batteries to pair up and get those done. Anyway, I'll stop the video because it's getting huge. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I put foam on my lid. Oh, I'll move the camera. I actually went out of yellow, so I used a bit of red. It's all glued on though to the lid, inside the lid. That way, when I put the lid onto the battery box, there's no chance of, as long as there's nothing sharp, that is, and I've got to make sure there's nothing sharp. But then I'll put the lid on, and I've also taken extra precaution putting that insulation on top of the batteries there, and then just put the lid on, and hopefully when I get the rest of the batteries in there, we should have no bits sticking up now. I'm going to make sure of that, obviously. We don't want to short it out. So, I'll move that out of the way, safe. And, oh, I'll show you this little thing. Ooh, right, I made this, these are regulators, the 2 regulators, the 7805 regulators. I actually bolted them onto they're in parallel. I bolted them onto a heatsink, so that I can actually use my battery pack to produce a 5-volt output if I want. So I can actually put this in my battery pack at some point and use it for running 5-volt devices from the 11.1 volt batteries. So these are two regulators, and they're only rated about 1 amps each, so by having them two in parallel I should be able to get 2 amps. Oh yeah, and I didn't bother with the circuit board, so I just soldered the pins together, and then I put some foam to insulate them so that the legs won't short out between each other, and then the wires come out, the output comes out the output there. Oh yeah, forget about the straw. Just originally what happened was I put this in to try it, and it turned out I couldn't get access to my voltage adjustment screw, which was on the step-up voltage. So I put the straw in there as a guide, so I could just put my screwdriver down the hole, you know, basically. And I knew exactly where the screw was underneath it, you see. Yeah, well. Anyway, I suppose I better stop again, because I'm waffling again as usual. Oh yeah, I just forgot. I need to clarify this. I was showing you my batteries earlier. Now I'll show you this again, because this does need to be. Now, as I said, these are in parallel, right? Negative, 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 negative. On the other side of the battery, positive, 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 positive. That's parallel, right? Okay. Now, these cells in the center are parallel. Now, these are all positives, but they're capped, so I don't solder anything on, because I only need to use the negative and positive. These are all paralleled. These are all paralleled. These are all paralleled. So it's negatives to negatives, and those are negatives to negatives, and these are positives to positives. But whatever you do, don't parallel the positive to the negative if at both ends, right? This is what I need to make sure you know about. If you parallel these positive to negative there, and on the opposite side you parallel the negative to the positive there, you're going to have a huge explosion. Your battery pack's going to fry, and you're going to see sparks flying. So what you do is, with the cells in the batteries, the cells that are in parallel must be in series with the other bank of cells. So these cells are in parallel because they're all polarized the same. That is, all the negatives, all the positives are all polarized, and they're in parallel. But when you wire this bank, I'm going to lift this bit of tape up so you can see. Right, I've soldered the positive across here, this bridge, to the negative. So these cells are in series with these cells. Do you understand? These are all paralleled, these are all paralleled, but these are in series. This bank here is in series with that. And on the other side, that bank is in series with that bank. You understand? That's how you get your 11.1 volts. You've actually got 3.7 volts across that bank, 3.7 volts across that bank, 3.7 volts across that bank, and when you put them in series, you actually 3.7 plus 3.7 plus 3.7, 11.1. Okay? I wanted to make sure that I explained that, because I know there's a lot of people on YouTube who watch YouTube who don't really have a lot of knowledge about batteries and electronics and things like that. But you should always take extra care with the polarity. You've probably seen it on lots of electrical appliances that say, please observe polarity. It simply means don't short or cross circuit the things. You can put batteries in parallel, but you mustn't loop them back on themselves, you know. I think the best way to show you this is on a piece of paper. Actually, I could do it on the computer as a drawing, but let me just draw you something. Right, okay, here we go. Now it's important. Now I'll just draw my battery packs, battery clusters. Now as you know, there's four banks in parallel. I'm just drawing this roughly in each parallel group. Okay, so these, right, okay, now I've got positive at one end, negative at the other end, and I also have a positive here. Now the reason I've put these batteries upside down is so I can easily solder to the negative terminal on my battery pack. Now these, as I say, there's 4 cells in parallel in each parallel group. Right, now the way it's wired is quite simple. There's 4 cells here, 4 cells here, 4 cells here in parallel, and this first bank of 4 cells is in series with the next bank, so we'll call this 1, 2, 3. Right, the first bank, number 1, is wired to the positive terminal of number 2. So number 1 negative is wired to positive number 2. So these two banks are in series. So each bank is 3.7 volts. Alright, 3.7. So each bank is 3.7 volts. Okay. So the first bank is wired in series with the second bank, and the second bank is soldered, that's the negative terminal, is soldered to the positive terminal of number 3. So all of these packs are in series. So the first pack, which is in parallel, second pack which is in parallel, and third pack which is in parallel, are all in series with the other packs. You understand? So this is one complete pack. That's so I can get my 11.1 volts. So equals 11.1 volts output. Now it's important that you don't cross connect them. When I say cross connect, I mean it's very important that you don't loop back the positive to the negative on the same pack, otherwise you're going to start a fire, or you could explode, the batteries could explode. That's the reason why I'm drawing this for you, so you can see. I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see more easily. So number 1 at that end is wired in series with number 2, and number 2 is in series with number 3. And I've put number 3 upside down, so bear in mind that I've made that so that I can easily solder to the negative terminal, so that I have to keep turning everything upside down to get to the negative. So see, so the positive terminal of number 3 goes to the negative terminal of number 2, and the positive terminal of number 2 goes to the negative terminal of number 1, and that's where we take our power from, is positive number 1 and negative number 3, and we get 11.1 volts out of that. So anyway, now I've clarified that, hopefully nobody's going to be suing me for setting fire to their living room.